From Alabama.
Mr. President, I come to the floor today to talk about our new military's illegal abortion policy. You know, last November, I got word from the Pentagon that they were planning on replacing a 40-year law that was passed in this building about abortion in our military that has worked perfectly for 40 years, no complaints. But our president, in his wisdom, decided to change that abortion policy with a memo. So, because of that, I warned the Pentagon, don't do this. I mean, send this new policy through the Senate and let's vote on it. Let's represent our colleagues. Let's represent the people back home that send us up here. They elect us to do that, to make decisions for them, to represent them. I said in writing that if they impose this new policy, that I would put a hold on senior nominations in the military. That's the only power that we have in the minority to get the attention of the majority here in the Senate. Hated to do it. These people needed promotion. But somebody needs to wake up in the White House and the Pentagon that they cannot dictate policy here in the U.S. Senate. Send it over. Let's vote on it. So I put a hold 11 months ago on the admirals and generals and civil nominees. A few months went by, a few months being 11. And we've had that hold ever since they put this policy in place. Somebody had to stand up to what was going on. So I did it. I stood up knowing that I'm 100% military. My dad was in the military. I was a military brat. I believe in our military. It's the #1 institution in this country because if we don't have peace and security for the American citizens, we are in trouble. Secretary Austin knew that I would hold these nominations. He knew it, but he decided to go ahead and do it anyway. It was his choice. The current leadership at the Pentagon seems to think that taxpayer-funded abortion is more important than military nominations. Now, let's get this straight. This was a policy we had for 40 years that was about rape, incest, and harm to the mom. It had worked for 40 years, but they decided to change that because they thought they could without the consent of the Senate. Since then, there's been absolutely no negotiation from my Democratic colleagues or the Biden administration. I've had a brief phone call a couple of times with the Secretary of Defense. No negotiations at all. You would think if they were really concerned about our military in a trying time in which we have all over the world, which they have created, that they would have called me, let's talk about this, let's work it out, we need promotions. Zero communications. I've been willing to negotiate the entire time. So instead, the Democrats have spent 11 months attacking me for trying to get them to do the right thing and to stand up for our military. No, they didn't want any of that. They wanted their way or the highway. Unfortunately, last month, even some of my Republican colleagues attacked me, and attacked me personally here on this floor. I can see how this thing was going. They call themselves, military. People that support the military. There's nobody, again, that supports the military any more than me. But they are currently in the military, and they were standing up for their colleagues, which is fine. But I can stand, and we all can stand for life of the unborn and for our military. You can do both. Unfortunately, the Democrats don't want to do that. They do not like the unborn, and they don't care anything about the military, or they'd have done something about this. Everybody says, well, these guys need, and men and women need promotion. Well, these young unborn will never have a chance for a promotion because they don't want to kill them before they're born, which is absolutely amazing to me. I've been asking the Pentagon to support evidence of changing this policy, now again for almost a year. They said it's because of recruiting. We need to be able to recruit more people, more women, because we need a better abortion policy. Again, there was zero evidence that this was going to help recruiting. And folks, our recruiting in the military has been an absolute, total disaster. Worst in the history in this country. We don't have anybody, hardly anybody, that wants to join a volunteer military. It's only gotten worse since this policy went into effect, which they started in February. I've asked the Pentagon how many people have used this policy since it's gone into place. They refuse to answer. They've given me no information at all. I've also explained on this floor many times that this policy is illegal. Now, if it was sent over here and we voted on it and passed, it is what it is. But that didn't happen. It wasn't going to happen because it didn't have the votes. It didn't have the votes to pass it. So, we have an immoral, illegal policy that has no basis of facts. The world is a much dangerous place today because of some of the things that's happened, such as this abortion policy being put in by Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer himself. It's become much more dangerous even since we put this policy in place last year. Over the last 3 years, we've seen some of the worst humiliations in the history of our military. President Biden waved the white flag of surrender in Afghanistan. We're leaving. We want out. That's without even helping people that are Americans and that have helped Americans for 20 years. We abandoned them. Just 2 months later, Vladimir Putin began massing forces on his border with Ukraine. I went to Ukraine right before the war started in Ukraine. Talked to President Zelensky himself. We need help. We need people at the border. If you'll send materials, they won't come in. This administration wouldn't listen. Just got out of the way, let them come in. Since then, by the way, we've spent $100 billion of the taxpayer dollars. Now we want to spend $100 billion more. Joe Biden failed to deter President Putin. Joe Biden failed to deter Hamas because of his support of Iran, his appeasement of Iran for the last 3 years of giving them money. Iran is flush with cash now. Hamas is one of their proxies. Joe Biden has been softer on Iran than any president in American history. There is no question that America is less safe today than it was before Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer took control of Washington, D.C. There's no question. The facts speak for itself. We have weakened our military. And the Democrats in Congress have been more than happy to go along with all these policies. There are no complaints from our Democratic colleagues. I'll just mention a few examples. Joe Biden drove out 8,000. Just think about this. We drove out 8,000 people in the military because they would not take a vaccine. 8,000 people that love this country. Democrats in the Senate refused to reinstate them and give them back pay when we voted on it about a year ago. Now the Pentagon and my colleagues are begging them to please come back. We can't get anybody to take a job in the military. Please come back. It's no surprise most of these heroes that we ran out because of a vaccine will not come back. You know, I heard that Senator Durbin now wants illegal immigrants to serve in the military because we can't find enough Americans. And did I just not hear on the floor that Senator Durbin and Senator Schumer are against assault weapons? I heard that. Everybody's got their opinion. But they want to turn around and give an assault weapon to a Chinese or a Russian or Iranian that's come in this country illegally to protect the American citizens of the United States of America. Have we lost our mind? We have absolutely lost it when it comes to protecting the citizens of this country. Is anybody in the White House asking why we can't recruit anymore? Absolutely amazing to me. Here's another example. Our Navy is not building enough ships that are required by law, that we've passed. We're not building them. We're worried more about climate change, EV cars. Folks, we had better start protecting our borders and our country, or we're not going to have a country. I've never seen anything like it. The Pentagon has become more distracted from its core mission by things like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Pentagon just asked for $114 million. Now, I've been told during this last 11 months what I've been attacked by the Democrats. Been attacked every day by the Democrats. Oh, this is not a woke military. Wait a minute. We're not teaching social justice programs in the military, but we want $114 million more to give for diversity, equity, inclusion. We don't even know how much the abortion travel memo is costing. More and more veterans are telling their kids, don't join this woke military. I hear it every time I go out on the road and talk to groups, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I mean, it's not about party. It's about an institution that has been sacred to all of us in this country for 247 years, but now it's under attack. It's under attack by politicians. So, this list goes on and on about the problems in the military. It's an absolute disaster. And then last week, Senator Schumer stooped to a new low. The House and the Senate every year puts a budget independently, then we bring it together, and then we vote on the discrepancies. And to build one bill together with the House, voted on by people on each side. I was involved in that, but it was a sham. The conference is supposed to report it out as a single bill after we put it together, but we had no vote. We had no vote. The conference committee was just brought in for pictures. All the confirmations was done by the leadership. Senator Schumer got the number one vote. The abortion policy was in the House side. It got kicked out. We were supposed to vote on it. I had the votes to get it done, but he knew that, and so now we have an illegal abortion policy. This bill was written in the back rooms, which is a lot of things done here, not by many, but by few. I came here to represent the people of Alabama. If you're not given a vote, why even send people up here? I didn't come here to outsource my job to the Pentagon or the White House, or frankly, to the leadership, either side, making a difference, Democrat or Republican. This issue of taxpayer-funded abortion could have been resolved through the NDAA, and whatever the outcome, I'm fine. But bring it to the floor, and let's vote on it. That's our job. But that doesn't happen. It's not happening because Senator Schumer knew that he couldn't get it passed. But that's how D.C. works. Abortion is so important to Senator Schumer that he's not letting us vote on this. Therefore, there no longer appears to be any short-term path to end this Pentagon's illegal abortion policy. Some other policies will take time for me to work through the process, but that doesn't happen overnight. So yesterday I announced that I would change my tactics and let the promotions go through. Promotions that they needed, our military needed. But again, Senator Schumer and his colleagues could care less. They held their feet to the fire. No negotiations. But I'm going to continue to hold the 4-star generals. People say, why would you just hold 4 stars? We got 11 of them. Today we have 44 4-stars in the military. World War II we had 7. 44 to 7. We had 12 million with 7 4-stars. Today we have 44 4-stars with 2 million. Doesn't make sense. Too many chiefs. So we're going to hold those 4 stars, but we can bring them one at a time. They need to be vetted. We need to know who's running our military. These jobs are too important to rubber stamp. And we need to keep fighting to make our military stronger and stronger. The fight for integrity of our military leadership will continue as long as I'm here. The fight to keep politics out of the most sacred institution will continue. The fight to protect Senate and the executive branch overreach will continue. Senator Schumer, he can rig it all he wants, but this fight is not over. We'll continue to take it to the American people because elections have consequences. And don't think next year's is not very, very important. I'm not going to stop fighting for these things, and I'm not going to stop fighting for the American people. That's the reason we're here. A lot of people forget that.